Welcome to 18th Century Cooking. I'm your host, John Townsend. Today we're going to be cooking something that you would find on the very richest table and the poorest table. Thanks for joining us today as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century. Potatoes were so incredibly important for food in the 18th century, especially for poor people. Of course, they were popular in Ireland during the 18th century. They're also popular in Scotland and other parts of England. Scotland and most of England, potatoes were not part of the tithe or a tax, so that they could grow, poor people could grow potatoes, and they didn't have to worry about them being taxed away. There was no, it was sort of an incentive item for the poor. It's like, you guys can go ahead and grow these. We're not going to tax you on them. So that's how they were so important for the poor, and they're very, very easy to cook. They show up, of course, in lots of cookbooks, very high-end cookbooks. So they are part of a rich person's table as well as a poor person's table. This little cookbook, Primitive Cookery, is a collection of recipes that was put together in the mid-18th century. Specifically, the author thought, I want to collect these recipes that are good for people of lower economic means. So he recommends things that are mostly vegetarian that we would call today economically, because he was looking for inexpensive things. This book set aside almost 3 pages to talk about potatoes, and it isn't that big a book, so it's an important part of this book. There's a section here where it talks about the Irish have several ways of eating them. The poorer sort eat them with salt only after they are boiled, others with butter and salt, but most with milk and sugar. I thought that was interesting. Someday maybe we'll do milk and sugar potatoes. This part at the beginning, some people when they are boiled have a sauce ready to pour over them made with butter, salt, and pepper. Others use gravy sauce. That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be getting these potatoes ready. So let's get started. So after about 15 minutes, we're going to take our potatoes off. We're going to deal with those in a minute. Now it's time to work on this sauce, and so many of those recipes had a simple butter sauce. We're going to combine 2 sauces at once, right? We've got gravy in here, meat gravy, the drippings that came off, along with some butter. We're going to warm that up here on the fire. As soon as that warms up, then we're going to add some salt and pepper. That's going to be our sauce that we're going to put on these potatoes. Well, there they are, something you could find on the richest table and the poorest table. Let's see how these turned out. Perfect. Potatoes have just enough texture to them. You don't turn these into instant mashed potatoes. Still have some wonderful texture. A butter sauce with salt and pepper. So simple, so wonderful. Just enough of that meat gravy in here. They taste great. So this recipe is wonderful. It's very, very tasty, but I think really the important part is that historical connection. This recipe was incredibly important to a large quantity of population in the 18th century. In England, in Scotland, in North America, in Ireland. This is what so many people survived on, and yet it's a wonderful thing we can eat today. Enjoy it. Great historical connections. If you're interested in another recipe of food of the poor, make sure to check out this Journey of the Journey Cakes episode.